So today I want to talk about and go into some detail about why it's important if you're involved in a divorce. I'm going to tell a couple of stories about why it's important to get help with your divorce. If you're thinking about doing it on your own, please consider these things I'm going to talk about as you ponder that decision and try and do that. So, first off, you need to protect your rights. You know, you're entitled to certain things. You're entitled in Utah to an equitable division of the assets, an equitable division of property. And whether it's titled in your name or not may not be important. Whether you worked outside of the home or not and helped earn the money to pay for those things might not matter. And so we know your rights to parent time, your rights to contact with your kids, almost regardless of the situation. So having an attorney can protect your rights because we've just been there and done that. I joke all the time, look, I've been getting divorced for 26 years. I've just stayed married to the same girl, so I'm lucky in that regard. Another important thing, the second thing that we help with a lot is parenting plans, custody arrangements, parent time sharing, and those sort of things, because you know, the legislature has kind of carved out 2 or 3 cookie cutter solutions. Now, we use those a lot, but it might not be what's right for you and your kids. And, you know, a parenting plan about who's going to make the major decisions. What are you going to do about the religious upbringing? What are you going to do about education of your kids? You know, who's going to pay for what stuff? You know, if you've got a son coming up and he's a tough kid and he wants to play football, but you're concerned about concussions and head injuries, you know, those sorts of things. So understanding parenting plan provisions, dealing with things like family reunions, holidays, funerals, you know, decision making, communication, all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot that goes into those kind of things with custody arrangements and parenting plans. And we can help with that. We've helped people with that. We know how to solve that. I'll give you an example. One where we had a client that worked early morning bake at a convenience store, right? So they would go into work at 4 in the morning. Well, and their ex worked a swing shift at one of the local warehouses. And so their ex was in a situation where they had this, neither parent was available for 16 hours of the day. Well, one was available, but there was that time cap when there was only one available. So we crafted a solution that made sense for child support payments and made sense for these kids to be able to spend time with their parents, maximize the parent time, and yet make sure that they were able to get to school on time and spend the night in a place that made sense and get those kind of things done in a fair way and in a way that protected the kids. So that's something. Property and debt division is another one. You know, that can be really complex. And there can be a lot to it. And it's, you know, you're dealing with maybe student loans where only one person took out their student loan, but that money was used to pay for both of their colleges. You know, there can be a lot of things like that where maybe one's got great credit and the other doesn't. So all the loans are in one person's name and not in the other's. But how are we going to divide that kind of stuff up? How are we going to divide up the property, the cars, the vehicles, the stuff in the house, even down to the toaster? I had a case where literally we came down to who was going to get the toaster. And we were creative in how we solved that problem. So, you know, we can help with those property divisions, debt divisions, and make sure that it's fair, equitable, and it's written up in a way that's enforceable with the courts. Fourth reason, to help avoid costly mistakes. Now, Utah has a great thing. It's called the Online Court Assistance Program, sometimes referred to as OCAP. You can go to utcourts.gov and find it. And you can fill out your own divorce paperwork. You can do it yourself. File the paperwork, get everything done, and it's submitted to the court and done. Well, maybe not. So here's a story. A few years ago, 2 people did their own divorce. And these weren't just normal people, really. Well, they were normal people. Everybody's normal. But one of them was a CPA, and the other one had a Master's of Business Administration. Highly educated people. So they did their own divorce. Fast forward 2 years. They're in a big fight. They're in a battle. Here's what they were fighting over. In the divorce paperwork, these 2 highly educated, really smart people prepared, there were 4 internal contradictions. It said, as an example, it said that 2 different things were to happen in the marital home. It contradicted itself on that and some other points. So guess what? They both, at this point, got a lawyer. They got attorneys. Now, here's the good news. Fortunately, I was one of the attorneys hired, and one of my great friends in town was hired as the other attorney, and we both have been doing this for a long time. And we were actually able to go to lunch at a Subway. We wanted something quick, but we went to lunch at a Subway sandwich shop, and we figured out how to solve those contradictions in their divorce decree to meet their original intent and solve that case. But in order to get there, they each spent quite a bit of money on discovery, on time with the attorney, reviewing documents, preparing motions, all kinds of things happen. But in the end, 2 smart attorneys were able to solve that problem when 2 really well-educated people, because they weren't experts in the law, they weren't experts in divorce law in particular, they weren't able to solve that problem on their own, and they created problems by not getting it done right, and by having where their order said one do A and another paragraph and another page said do B, and they got in a fight over which was going to be what they were going to do. Lastly, reducing stress and conflict. 5th reason why to hire somebody like me to help with your divorce. I've heard it said that divorce is the second most difficult emotional thing to go through. The only thing worse would be the death of a spouse or a child, as far as the stress that it puts on you. And one of the things I've learned over the years about human nature is when emotion is high, intelligence is low. And divorce is highly emotional. It's a lot of conflict can be in it. Now, in our office, we focus on solving problems. So we're going to get in your case. We're going to find out what the assets are. We're going to find out what has been going on with parent time. We want to learn about your kids a little bit and figure out what is going to be the best thing for them. And we're going to be creative. We're going to help reduce that conflict. We're going to do everything we can to settle your case at mediation and minimize your attorney's fees, minimize your risk, minimize the stress of going to trial and doing those kind of things if at all possible. Now, having said that, hey, we'll saddle up and go to trial. Going to court and cross-examining someone, frankly, to me is a great time. It is a lot of fun, but that's stressful for you, and it's stressful for my client. So we work hard to settle it at mediation. We're going to be your buffer in communicating with the other side. We're going to help, if you come at us with something really angry and with some spit and venom, we're going to try and temper that in how we present it to the other side in a way that they might, grow to understand it. We're going to help you understand the other side. The great Stephen R. Covey wrote a book years ago, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that I've read several times. It's an amazing book. But one of the principles, one of those 7 habits that he teaches is seek first to understand and then to be understood. We want to help you do that for the other side, because if we can help you imagine, put yourself in the other side's shoes, we can help you offer them what we believe they're going to need from our experience so that you can get what you need and want out of for yourself in a divorce case. So avoiding that conflict and reducing those stressors is a great reason to hire an attorney. So listen, I'm wrapping this up. The conclusion is this: please don't do your divorce on your own. Even a simple one can be messed up. Even smart people can mess it up. It's for the reasons I've outlined: the stress, understanding your rights, protecting your rights, helping solve problems with custody and parent time and a parenting plan, making sure the debt division is fair and equitable, and avoiding the mistakes that can be made that end up costing you a lot of money down the road. We can help, and we would love to, so give us a call.